Hey, good afternoon to everybody. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early anymore. It's 12 noon straight up here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I know I say this a lot. I definitely not planned on doing another video today. I already downloaded 2 videos this morning, and I've been very busy trying to catch up on my artwork. Like I told you guys, this stretch from now till Christmas, I am so busy trying to get some artwork get together for people that want me to do paintings for them. As a matter of fact, there's the 2 right there that I put aside. I started framing. I got to frame that one. And I got sidetracked this morning, and I saw this story over the last 2 days. It's about a brawl in Montgomery, Alabama riverfront park, and so this happened late Saturday afternoon. And I saw different reports. Sunday it was trending on all the media outlets, the media platforms. And the reason I didn't talk about it yet is because I've told you guys before, I don't like doing a video where I just sit here like a news reporter and read you the story. I like to add, if I have an analogy, if I have an opinion, especially when I have an experience with this, something to add to it, something to give you guys, something more than just sitting here and reading a news report. And I started reading this, and the thing is, I went through at least 6 different articles, and I found some very interesting, some very in-depth, more details to these, and a whole lot of footage. And the links will all be down below, so you could look it over yourself. But I thought I'd put it all together, the interesting things that I came up with. Also, when I just started setting up the video camera here, I realized I do have a little experience. Back in the early 70s, when I was just a young kid, probably about 7 or 8 years old, there was race riots where I was living at the state park. I'll talk about that at the end of the video, though. And this whole thing is sad and infuriating. But like I said, the links will be down below, and I'm going to give you guys an overall. I think I got a pretty good idea of the situation, and I'm going to read you guys all the interesting details that I found. All right, so this is in Montgomery, Alabama, Riverfront Park, and there is the city's riverboat, the Harriet 2, and it was coming into dock at Riverfront Park late Saturday afternoon. And there were pontoon boats with people. Now, I've got to say, because this was basically a race brawl, a race riot. It really is. I don't know if you'd call it a riot, but it was pretty darn close to one. So I'm going to have to, there's going to be details to the people's colors here. Most of the people on the riverboat, it sounded, were black. And there was a black dock worker on the dock. Now the Harriet 2 is pulling up to its usual berth at Riverfront Park, but there were pontoon boats parked tied up where the Harriet, the city's riverboat usually pulls in. And those were all Caucasian people. This whole thing started out with 4 Caucasian men, and I think there was a few women too involved on the pontoon boats, taking up the space where the city's riverboat was supposed to park. And this older, I don't have the name of the older dock worker, the city worker that was working for Harriet 2. He was actually on the dock while the riverboat was out, just sitting there waiting to get into its space. And the dock worker told them that they should, they need to move their boats. And I believe I read that he started to untie one of the boats to move, or he actually did untie it and moved one of the pontoon boats. It's his job, and these pontoon boats were in the space, and the people on the boat were waiting to get off, and they were holding things up. And that's when these 4 white men you'll see. I urge you to watch the videos if you want. It's infuriating watching this. And these 4 white guys just attack. Just first one, and then the rest of the 4 white guys just attack this older black dock worker and beat him down, and then beat him on the ground and kick him. And there's videos down below where the people on the boat, and they're the black people that were on the boat, were watching this, and they were yelling, and they were seeing this one older black gentleman being beat down, attacked and beat down by this group of white men. There's a black guy that jumped into the water. All I know is he's 16 years old. His name is Aaron, 16-year-old Aaron, So the people on the boat are infuriated. They're yelling because they can't do anything. And they see this older black gentleman being gang beaten on the dock, on the ground. And one of the 16-year-old boy, the black teenager jumps in and swims to the dock. And by that time, they had moved down the dock somewhat. And somebody else, another black gentleman, had come to. It basically broke into white and black groups, and the dock worker had moved down the dock. And then there's more videos that show the boat actually pulling up. And once the fight kind of subsided, once the black teenager swam up, and the older black dock worker kind of moved down the dock. Once the city's riverboat docked, the black passengers and I guess the dock workers, his fellow co-workers, all just stripped off their shirts and ran down. And his black friends joined in. So it was basically a race riot. This is the reason I didn't talk about this, because it's a sad thing to talk. It really is, in this day and age that this stuff's still going on. The mayor, Stephen Reed, he says there's already warrants signed, and he said without a doubt, the police and both the Montgomery police and the mayor are saying that it was the group of Caucasian, the white guys that basically started the assault, and were parked it was their fault. And warrants are being signed, and justice will be served. That's a quote from the mayor. So like I said, it broke up into, it was basically two brawls. The one where they all jumped on, these white guys all jumped on this one black dock worker, and then one teenager slims across, and another black man comes to help the dock worker, and it kind of chills out and moves down the dock. And next thing you know, the riverboat pulls in, and then just a whole mess of black co-workers, the dock worker, the older dock worker, they got beat down, jump out, and they get the upper hand on these white gentlemen. And there's a couple women involved too, like girlfriends or wives or something, and they're just, like I told you guys before, I've been in fights and I can see the hits landing, and I don't know if people realize, just like 60 seconds of this kind of physical exertion, and you feel like I'm amazed at how much stamina all these people had, because it drains you when your adrenaline is that high. That's the thing that amazed me watching this, that these people must have been exhausted and in a lot of pain from all this. I've told you guys, it's not like the movies, it's not like TV. That's the one thing that impressed me. But here's the interesting part of this. This is probably one of the real reasons that I made this video, is because on one of the reports down below, I came across this. I believe it's the Montgomery Political Reporter, I think it's called. And they had more. They said that one of the white guys who posted on Facebook, he's the owner of Vassars Mini Mart in Montgomery, Alabama, and he admitted to being involved. He was one of the white guys that jumped in. And at first he said he's like I said, he's the owner of Vassars Mini Mart, and he posted that he was involved. But this is what he said on Facebook. He said he claimed he didn't take part in the fighting because he knew it was wrong to do this to the dock worker. Then, but video showed him punching the dock worker repeatedly while he was on the ground. All right. As of late Saturday afternoon, Vassars Mini Mart had removed its online presence completely and listed its location as permanently closed on Facebook. So basically they got caught out. What happened is this thing blew up. What happened is he started lying. He said. He kind of says he was involved, but he knew it was wrong to punch this guy to beat up on this guy. But there's they get caught. There's this video trends and goes viral everywhere yesterday, and then he realizes there's video of him actually punching the dock worker while the dock worker's on the ground. So I imagine the reason he's saying this, that his mini mart is permanently closed, is because I'm sure people found his mini mart and it's probably going to be dangerous for him for a long time to be doing any business. It's probably a good idea that it stays permanently closed. I mean, this whole thing is sad. It's just, I can't believe some people could be so inconsiderate, you know, just even if there's alcohol involved, just and the whole thing about jumping. I've never personally, I could tell you guys, I've never been involved. I've been jumped by a group of other guys, but I've never been involved the other way around where I couldn't do that. I can't, I don't hit somebody. I never hit somebody when they're on the ground, and I was never involved in me and other guys against one person or anything like that. It's just, I think that's the work of cowards, really. Okay, so I just remember too, back in the early 70s, there was race riots. I lived at a state park here in Connecticut, and I'd forgotten all about this. My father was the park ranger, the head guy. We lived in the state house. It was like a log cabin inside the park. It was actually called Black Rock State Park in Thomaston, Connecticut. And my father ran it, and we lived, like I said, in the state house. He died in 1975, and then we had to move out of the house, and that's when I moved to the bad side of the tracks. But anyway, my father would tell me, you know, he would come find me when this stuff would kind of bubble up, and it was usually over the beach area. And so, and the funny thing is too, is sometimes I'd hear my mother and father talking, and my father would go, "Oh, we had a streaker today," because they were, you know, if you're my age, you'll remember streaking. People just stripping off all their clothes and running naked to a public area. That was a big thing back in the early 70s, and it used to happen at the place I lived in the state park, and it used to happen there. So this is one of the things my parents had to deal with, is keeping an eye on me and keeping me away from the streakers, and then more seriously, the race riots. You know, I remember my father would be called in to bring in the trucks and stuff to divide people up, to block the entrances and cool things down. And, you know, he'd come find me because I'd be out on my pedal bike because I'd make friends with the other kids in the campground. And he'd come find me, and, you know, and he wouldn't tell me, but I'd overhear my parents talking about there's a race riot, there's a riot going on at the beach, you know, and that's what this reminds me of, you know. It reminds me of typical Archie Bunker 1970s race riot stuff. It's sad that this is still happening in the country. It's the only opinion I got to say. That's the reason I didn't make a video about this. But when I came across the part about this, the owner of this Vassars mini Mart, I decided to make this video because I wanted to share that with you guys. Anyway, the links will all be down below. You can leave your comments. Have a good Monday.